Hey, it's Little Renee, aka Docu Rock, and let's get into some flashback fifis. All right, this is a series of videos I'm sharing with y'all where I was going live on different platforms during my journey of intentionally leaning into my wounds. I was very vulnerable, very raw, very vocal in my visibility during that process. Why? Because I felt it was needed and necessary. Because very few people was keeping it 100 about how difficult this fucking process can be and also how rewarding. So this series is going to be me sharing those videos. So without further ado, let's go ahead and flash it back real quick and let's get into it. Last chapter I did was called The Bad Bitch Broken. We had that conversation. This one is a chapter that was never written. So I was a part of an anthology that so far hasn't happened yet, but I'm hopeful that it'll eventually come to pass. But this one is a chapter that I'm currently writing. The Transcendental Trainwreck is the name of this particular chapter of my life. And today I got a little face on. Last time I was like, look, y'all gonna get the raw, y'all gonna get what it is. When I was getting dressed, when I was getting ready to do this, I was thinking to myself that I really don't give a fuck about any of this. Like, for the last several, months actually, since I came back from Hawaii in March, and I just knew I was going to go to Hawaii, and I was going to come back feeling refreshed and feeling good and ready to take on everything, and I hit a fucking wall. And I might get emotional, because this is some emotional stuff, but that's part of the process, and I'm allowing myself to lean in, because that's been my theme for the last couple of weeks, lean in season, as I'm leaning into my wounds. But some people know, some don't, because I didn't make a big fuss about it. I didn't really talk about it on social media. Those who know. But in February, it's already about to happen. Okay, let me get it together. So in February, my children's father transitioned. And so I have to tell my kids, and I'm going to kind of gloss over this part of this because I'm already getting emotional. And I mention it because that happened in February. And then when I went on vacation, because the vacation had been scheduled for a long time, we went to Hawaii. And when I came back, I was just like, okay, I'm going to be good. And I hit a wall, and I was confused. Like, why am I hitting a wall? Why am I not feeling good and ready to do all of the things? And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, did you really grieve? And I think I mentioned back then, because I've been divorced since 2014, so it's a different process when you are experiencing grief for someone you shared life with but no longer sharing life with. So it's an interesting dynamic. But I've had people transcend, who are part of my family, but I've never experienced grief. I've never gone through that process, because the people who have transitioned were like, the relationship wasn't very close. It wasn't very tight knit. So I didn't experience what others might experience when they grieve. I was able to shove it into a box and put it in the bag. This time I allowed myself to really open myself up to the process for several reasons. One is because I work with people who experience grief. And if I'm going to be someone who creates these containers, is one thing to read a book and to know and to do all of the studying. It's a whole different thing to experience the shit yourself. So I felt like this was information, this was an experience that I needed for myself, and so that I can be a better container creator for others. So I asked myself, like, is it because I didn't grieve? Like, is that part of the problem? And I still don't know the answer for that, because I didn't really slow down, right? It was like, man, we gotta keep moving, So came back, hit a wall. So I didn't take time. I didn't slow down to lean into my process. I just kept it moving. So I got back in the gym. That's one of my favorite ways to distract myself. It's to start back getting in the gym. So I did that. And I'm bringing us to the point when I talk about the transcendental train wreck. And I had to look up the definition of transcendental, because people who know me know I love me a good damn definition. So we're going to look it up together so I can let y'all know what it says. Because I thought the mathematical definition was pretty interesting, and I'm going to read it to you all. So it says, in mathematics, Real, but not a root of an algebraic equation with rational roots. And so I'm a super nerd, y'all. So if y'all don't know, I'm a super nerd, and that just is what it is. I'm gonna get a cape, and it's gonna say SN on it, and I'm just gonna wear that bitch. But anyway, I thought it was so interesting that it said it didn't have rational roots, because when we think of transcendentalism, when we think of transcendental, let me give you another definition, because I'm all about definitions. It says the definition of transcendental is supernatural or beyond the human experience. An example of something transcendental is the ability to communicate with the dead. And I titled this the Transcendental Trainwreck because I've been in this process of really leaning into these wounds, these traumas, and all of this. I've been really tapping into my intuition and allowing myself to be used as a channel for others. And so I feel like we all have some form of transcendentalism within us, that we all have some form of power or intuition, whether or not we tap into it or not. That is what it is. But I feel like I'm personally a transcendental train wreck, or experiencing it right now, because my life is in this interesting form of chaos. Yeah, it's like, if I had the words to truly describe what I've been feeling and experiencing right now, I'm trying to find the words for it, because I feel like a lot of us go through this, we just don't talk about the shit. And I started off by saying, like, a lot of this shit doesn't matter to me. I'm extremely apathetic to a lot of things. I'm feeling really apathetic. I just don't give a fuck. Like the clothes and all of this, like for several months actually now, if I'm being really honest, I just tapped out. And working online, people don't know like what your self-care is like. People don't know if you didn't wash your ass and brush your teeth. People have no idea what your level of self-care or lack thereof looks like. And so it's easy for us to descend into this space of apathy, just not giving a fuck. And for me, when I say like I just don't care, even now there's not a really big percentage, a small percentage. And when I was thinking about it in the shower, I was like, it's only a small percentage. And then it said 25%. I'm like, damn, is the percentage that big? 25% of me don't give a fuck. And it's not in a I'm trying to peace out type of I don't care, but it's a really strong detachment from a lot of things. Like there's a part of me that really wants to just go be in a cave, be by my damn self, don't want to be bothered with anyone, anything, period. Dog, cat, man, kids, mama, daddy, clients, that just doesn't want to be bothered and really wants to escape, right? So there's 25% that wants to escape into darkness, that just want to be in a cave. And there's a 25% that wants to get in my car and drive the fuck away and never look back. But the 50% of me that's left is in this tug of war of trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. And as I'm having these conversations about detachment versus non-attachment, right? Detachment is me really wanting to not deal with any of this. But I'm in this space of detachment, and like I said before, this is easy. This is an easy space for me. And I put a post up earlier today that the easiest thing to do would be to go back to doing the shit I've always done, and the hardest thing is choosing not to. I would really like to stay in this space of detachment because I don't feel when I'm in that space. I just don't give a fuck. So it doesn't matter if old stuff come up, feelings, all of that. It doesn't matter because I'm not actually feeling it. I'm just, it's just existing. It's like I'm a spectator of my own life, right? And it's interesting when I use that language. If you think about yourself being a spectator of your life, that means you're not involved in it. You're not living your life. And that's how I feel. Oh, that was a connection I just made right now. Woo, I've been a spectator of my life. I have not been participating in it. I've just been watching life go by. And as I talk about, non-attachment from detachment, right? Non-attachment is the allowing. You're allowing yourself to feel it, to process it in the moment, and then you allow yourself to release it. You allow yourself to experience all of the things, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. You allow it, right? But you don't attach any, I was about to say meaning, but that's not what it is. You don't attach any lasting meaning to it, right? You let it be what it is in the moment, and once it moves away, you allow it to move away. And in order for me to graduate or level up from detachment to non-attachment, I have to release my detachment, which means now I have to feel shit. Now I have to feel the things. And it's so interesting for me because I've been doing my work and working on self and researching myself almost for over 10 years. But what I finally realized is that when I've been doing that work, I've been doing it from this space. I've been doing it from my head space. It's been real analytical. It's like, I use the language, be a researcher in your life, because when you allow yourself to be a researcher, you allow yourself a certain amount of detachment or space, right? So you're not consumed by the emotions in the moment as you are doing your research. What I forgot to mention is, once you've done your research, create space for you to then feel whatever you need to feel in order to process it out. I stopped up here. So this would be me looking at my shit like, oh, Yolanda, so you've experienced A, B, C, D. How do you think that contribute to how you now show up in the world? That's very interesting. And I've done that all my life, and I finally realized where I was fucking up at. Because now this time around, the universe has sat me down. It said, I need you to do your work. And I'm like, but what the fuck? I've been doing my work. What you mean, do my work? I've been doing my work for 10 years. No. Universe said, you got to bring it from here. You got to bring it into the here. I'm like, ooh. No, I don't think I want to do that. That just, I don't do feelings. I don't do feelings. Even as a Scorpio, it's like, I learned a long time ago that feelings was weak and that's some punk ass shit, so I don't do those. So I can help other people with theirs, though, because I am empathetic. But this, you want me to, and y'all, what a difference it is to allow yourself to operate from your heart space, to show up from your heart space. It's just so different. It's like I'm experiencing this process of doing my work for the first time. And this shit is painful. When you see that quotation where it says, I'm transforming from the inside out and it hurts. Man, it does hurt. And I'm sharing parts of my chapters or parts of my process because I feel like it's important because a lot of us don't. And there's a lot of people who are either doing their work or they're trying to escape their work or they're trying to avoid their work or they're trying to convince themselves that there is no work to do because the shit don't feel good and no one else is talking about it, really. And here we are talking about it. And so I feel like I'm on this transcendental journey. And right now I feel like I done had a fucking train wreck because it's a hot ass mess. This is a mess. I've been reading these books that have me really leaning into my wounds. And one of the things it said was that I use the consumption of knowledge as a way to distract from doing my work. I'm like, you just hit me with a lot of the shots. You just hit me with a lot of shots. And I've been watching, it's so interesting because for those of us who consider ourselves, and I feel like everyone has some gifts or skills that we might not or might claim. But for those of us who are very much aware and accepting of our gifts, right, spiritual wise, it's interesting when we get called to the carpet because I've been watching these different astrology videos because I can't channel for myself. But I watch these different astrology videos because I have all these, like I'm gonna show y'all. Let me see if I can, don't mind my table, it's a hot ass mess, but y'all see all them decks I have? That's just a few of the decks I had at my office, because I closed down my office, and that's a whole other thing, which is also emotional because universe told me it was time to close that chapter. And I've been pretty, I was about to say very obedient. I've been pretty obedient about the messages I've been getting from universe as far as how I'm supposed to move, except for right now, when universe is telling me I need to slow down and sit the fuck down and do this and meditate. I'm like, oh, you can tell anything else you want me to do? But alas, I can't pull cards, or I can pull cards for myself, but what I found is that it's really easy for me to dismiss messages that I channel for myself. Isn't that on brand though? You know, for a lot of us, we'll do all of the things for everybody else, or we'll hear messages from everybody else. But when it comes time for us trusting us, or doing for us, or us putting ourselves first, that shit goes out the window. So I'll do a message, like I'll have some cards, and I'll pull some cards, and it'll be like, I'll have the cards right here from me. I'm like, ooh, that's real interesting. All right, anyway, moving right along. Moving right along. So I've been guided to some messages online. I like different astrology videos, and I watch certain people, and I've been getting these messages. One of the messages was that I had went into like a hole. You know, I had disappeared from social media. I wasn't showing up anymore, and I need to show up. Hence why I'm here right now, because otherwise I would not be. But this message has been hitting me over and over and over again from different spaces, saying, you need to show up. You need to be out here on social media. And I'm like, but why though? Like, why? Because I told you 25% of me just doesn't give a fuck about anything at all. And so, woo. So when you're in that space, when you're in a space where a nice chunk of you doesn't want to, when you're in a space where part of you doesn't really want to show up, I might just vocalize, right? Because part of this is just, it's no words. And then you see people show up, they all cute, you know, they put my makeup on and everything else, and then we show up and we don't fully show up, right? And there's nothing bad happening in my life other than like bills and shit like that. But you know, we'll figure that out. But I'm in this space of just rawness. And when you are raw and naked to yourself, especially when you're used to not being, right? When you're used to looking at things from your mind space and not from your heart space, it's different. Woo, it's different, y'all. It's a different feel. And again, it's not that I'm in a bad space. I'm just really in the thick of confronting my own fears. Old wounds and shit are coming up, and it's like, man, this is the work I tell other people to do. I ain't supposed to be doing this shit right now. Like, what the fuck? But I am, and I'm being my 3 V's, and I've talked about this with some people: being vulnerable, being visible, and being vocal, speaking about it, showing up, and having the conversation about it, because I think it's necessary to do so. But when you are confronting your fears, right? Because oftentimes we try to avoid the fears, we try to, not deal with the shit. And a lot of times that looks like, for me, I mentioned it before, eating or whatever the case may be, vegging out on social media, putting on the cape and trying to support others. It was never me doing for me. But now that I've been sick these last 2 weeks and I'm more conscious and I'm more aware of what I'm being asked to do, I've submitted and surrendered a little bit to this process. And it's like, man, this shit deep. It's some deep shit. Oh man, it was so much easier when I was just thinking about the shit and just analyzing it as a researcher and being scientific about it. But now that I'm feeling it, oh Lord, that's a whole different thing. And to be aware to be aware too, right? It's like once you're aware, you can't be unaware, right? And I have a couple of clients or people that I have the honor of supporting, because that's what I prefer other than client, although client is easier to say. But, and they say like, damn, I can't go back to being ignorant. Like now that I'm aware of who I am and some of my shadows and some of my traumas, I can't be unaware anymore. It's like, no, once you see it, you can't unsee. Yay. And be like, oh, you can't sell helping people heal by telling them how fucked up it is. No one will want to do it. I'm like, so what am I supposed to tell them? I'm supposed to lie? Oh, you're supposed to sell them, you know, the outcome, the good part of it. Well, shit, this what it looked like. This is what it looked like. It looks like laughing in the midst of dealing with some hard ass shit. Like this is what it looks like. It looks like admitting this work is difficult, but it's so amazing to see the puzzle coming together, right? It's like, oh damn, that's why I was doing what I was doing. That's why I have issues with money. That's why my abundance ain't abandoning. That's why my stuff ain't stuffing. Because of this, and this. So it's so cool to see and to understand and to recognize. Is it easy? Hell no. Does it always feel good? No, it doesn't. But it's like, wow. When you realize who you are and why you are the way you are, and it gives you so much power to be able to consciously do something different. But if you're always attempting to avoid your fears, if you're attempting to avoid your pains, if you're attempting to distract yourself from the wounds, then you don't have the capacity or the power to do shit different. Then you find yourself doing this, and then you can't figure out why, and then you start to blame yourself or other people. I mean, I'm just saying. Because now everything is everyone else's fault. Or you're beating yourself up. And you know what that doesn't do? Produce a fucking outcome that you want. And so, yeah, this doesn't feel good. This transcendental train wreck of a chapter I'm having in my life right now doesn't feel good, but it's transcendent. I'm transcending. I'm transforming. And yeah, the shit is uncomfortable, but I am conscious enough to know that there is another side. There is a after, right? There is a breaking through as I am stretching beyond my current comfort zone. Oh, because I'm uncomfortable as fuck. I am so uncomfortable right now. I'm like, man, what is this new comfort zone going to feel like, going to look like once I truly allow myself to stretch beyond what's been keeping me in prison? And it was how many months ago? It was some months ago where I realized I've been a horrible fucking steward of money. And I'm like, damn. And what the connections I began to make, so like I give away money, you know, that's just something I've always done. And it comes from a couple of different places. So this is me connecting the dots, right? It comes from a couple of different places. Part of it is coming from a place of not feeling worthy, right? Like this is how I garner the feelings of worthiness, is by being helpful to others. Now, it's not always money. Sometimes it's just showing up and creating space. Sometimes it's going to pick somebody up. Sometimes it's cooking a meal, whatever I could do that would prove that I'm worthy, I would do it. Money just seems to be the easiest, right? Because you can just, you know, and so I would give money away. And so that was how, because I didn't value the energy, because there was no exchange. There was typically no energetic exchange. And so because there was no energetic exchange, universe is just kind of like, well, you don't need shit, huh? You can just, you balling, you just get a shit away. You don't need shit because you don't expect reciprocity. I never expected reciprocity. What the fuck does that mean? I'm supposed to just show up and give because that's how I show I'm worthy. This was you. Yeah. And so when it hit me, I was like, because I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not stingy, and I don't just go out here buying purses and fucking red bottoms, so I'm not a bad steward of money, but you haven't invested any of that money into yourself, your home, your business. You just gave most of it away. It's probably not a good idea. probably not a really good relationship with money. And then part of it too, and this was back in the day, like in my teen years, I came up on some money and I was acting like I was a pimp, disrespecting the money. It was coming from ego. What the girl didn't do again was invest in self. And so I was like, well, damn. Okay, I got a fucked up relationship with money because I didn't value myself. And I didn't value the concept of reciprocity, that energy. There needs to be a flow, right? And if you fuck up that flow, you fuck up your flow. You know, look, this did a rhyme. I like that. But anyway, and so I fucked up my flow. And so now I'm experiencing what it feels like to not have a flow. My shit dry than a motherfucker, right? And so normally what I would do is go do something about it, right? Oh, let me go get 4, 5 motherfucking jobs because a bitch can't be broke, right? That was my mindset. I can't be broke. That's not what I'm about to do. But what I feel like is really happening right now, and it's extremely uncomfortable because I feel like if I tallied all my bills, I probably need to get rid of some things that I don't really need, like these subscriptions we be having, like Fenty, $49. I don't need no more draws. I like draws. But I don't even be putting them on being cute. They just sitting in the damn closet. That might have been TMI. But the point is, I could probably get rid of some things, and I would be getting right now just enough to pay my bills. And I really feel like I'm in this position on purpose. Now, nothing's forced me to do this. I'm being obedient. And it's uncomfortable because I can still be a therapist. I can go get me some clients right now. You know, I got motherfuckers on my phone like, can you help a sister out? I could go and get money, but that's no longer my calling. And I was talking to my guy today. I was like, it wouldn't even be ethical for me to go get new clients. That wouldn't even be ethical to them. Who the fuck wants a therapist who don't really want to do their job? Now the people I'm already with, we got a whole vibe, we got a whole thing going on, so it's cool. It's about 4 of y'all, about 4, 5 of y'all that I got left. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't dare go do that just so I can make some money. I'd rather go get a job where I don't have to give a fuck, for real. I'm just being honest. But I cannot in good conscience put myself back out there in a typical therapeutic space just to make some money because I'm uncomfortable, right? I just can't see myself doing it. And so I'm surrendering to this process. It's uncomfortable, but my basic needs are being met. But that account, I'm giving y'all all my business, and it's fine because I'm being led to do so. But it's like, okay, that account negative. Ooh, I got just enough in this account to move it over here. Woo, okay, oh shit, something else came up. Oh, just enough money came in. So it's working out. Like I'm over here doing this, but it's working out. And I'm like, universe is saying, relax. Relax. The most uncomfortable. Like, I got you. Just relax and do the work. But the longer you resist this, the longer you keep being in this energy of anxiousness and fear, the more you keep fighting it, the longer this is going to last. You're welcome. The longer this is gonna last, and I don't really want this shit to last too much longer. I just don't. So I'm like, is it a pool of fear? I could just jump in this bitch real quick and get out. This putting my toe in is getting on my nerve. You know how we want to get in the pool, and you be like, ooh, it's cold. So you put a toe in, you're like, oh, it's cold, and you like crawling in. It's like, oh my god, it's cold. Oh, it's cold. Fuck that. I jump in. Fuck this whole. I don't want to ease into it. I just want to jump. Right? That's the type of shit I do. But that's not how it's working out. I'm being eased into it. So a fear will pop up over here, and I'm like, oh, I got to deal with this money fear. Ooh, every time I turn around, the account is negative. And it's only negative for about 5 minutes or until I see it. Then I can move some stuff around. But the fact that any of them is negative, ooh, man. I'm like, it's got all my fears coming up. And I have to ask myself, like, when did this fear start? This shit don't feel good. I know I'm being conditioned. I'm being transformed from the inside out, And it hurts, y'all. It fucking hurts. So I'm seeing it happening. I'm like, okay, okay. All right, fear of being broke, fear of being poor. Where is this coming from? And this is what's interesting about my Chiron. Because my wound is around money and stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool, bet. Let me do some research about the Chiron. Okay, let me do some research. Why am I shit in the 12th house? The 12th house is the house of unconsciousness. We don't know why. It might be karmic from other lifetimes. This could be some generational shit from 3 generations back. Who knows? I'm like, so now y'all got me cleansing some generational trauma I don't even have any knowledge of, but I gotta cleanse this shit up? This is some bullshit. I gotta cleanse bloodlines? This is some bullshit. I did not sign up for it. I don't care what my soul said up there in heaven or whatever. This human being didn't want this motherfucking job. I didn't want it. I don't want it. Okay? That caterpillar probably, if the caterpillar would have known what the fuck was gonna happen in that cocoon, I wonder how many of them caterpillars would be like, nah, I'm good. Nah, this whole caterpillar situation, we good. We straight. I'm good. But they didn't know. They didn't know. That's why a lot of people who know about this whole healing process, they be like, ooh, I know the butterfly stage is going to be real cute and all that, but ooh, this whole cocoon situation you got going, I heard about that. I heard ain't no fun in that cocoon, so I don't know. This caterpillar situation might just be where it's at. It's not. It's not. Like, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for this season of discomfort. Like, cause I already know I'm gonna be a whole different human being on the other side. I'm already knowing I'm gonna be a whole nother human being. And is. I am a whole different human being from the recording of that video, which was done September of 2022. Today is December 12th of 2024. And there are going to be more of these flashback to the Fifis. So y'all stay tuned for more of this. All right. So this is Docu Rock, and I'm out. Peace.